This is the Sony ZV-E10 II, which is a pretty bad name for a camera that is a very good little camera. I recently took this little Sony to the Virgin Islands, which was freaking gorgeous. It was a family trip slash a mini documentary shoot that I did with my brother-in-law for a boating company out there. And I actually brought this camera alongside the Canon R6 III. I already did my video on the R6 III if you're curious, if you want to see footage from that camera or more from this documentary travel trip thing. But today we're focused on the ZV-E10 II and why I chose this as my B cam slash family camera for documenting this trip. So after taking it overseas for around 2 weeks, I have some thoughts I'd like to share with the class in this camera video report. And I'm kind of the teacher's pet, so sit back, eat your apple, and let's get into it. I feel like this video needs a smidge of context because Sony makes an ungodly amount of cameras these days, and it's easy for them to kind of get lost in the thicket of tech that they have coming out all the time. I didn't hear about this camera until my friend Spencer told me about it recently. Spencer and I were editors for Matt Diavella together back in the day. He edits for Matty Hapoya now and uses this camera as his little everyday cinema camera, pocket cinema camera, and I was like, I have to try it. So what is the ZV-E10 II? Well, on the outside, it looks like a little vlogger wannabe camera, but inside it's pretty beefy. It's a very compact body, but carries the same batteries that the full frame Sony cameras use, like the A7 IV, the FX3, same batteries, which does give you a nice little grip on the side, despite it being a small body. It has a flip screen, no EVF, which was a struggle on this trip. We'll talk about that. It has a mic and headphone jack, micro HDMI, and USB-C port for file transfer, charging the battery up, and USB-C streaming. And in this beautiful little chassis is a 26 megapixel APS-C sensor. But what's special about it is it's the same sensor found in the A6700 and one of my favorite cameras of all time, the FX30. I've been glazing that camera for years. Ever since I bought it with my own money a few years ago, it's just been one of my most used cameras. I love the sensor. I love the colors that come out of this camera. It's not the cleanest in the mid to high ISOs, but if you know what you're doing with exposure on this sensor, expose it around 0.7 to +1, it creates beautiful images. And this camera can shoot in S-Log3 at 10-bit, 4K up to 60 frames per second with the entire sensor, but it also does 4K at 120 frames per second with a crop, just like the A6700 and the FX30. What's weird is B&H on their spec area, which I reference a lot when I'm making camera reviews, is they don't even mention that it does 4K 120. So I did a quick Google search and turns out 4K 120 is actually a free license upgrade you have to download and put in the camera. It is free apparently, but you can do 4K 120 and HD 240 with this free upgrade. The reason I didn't know that is because I rented this camera from Lens Rentals. I just used my own money to rent it for this trip, and it already had it pre-installed, so I didn't have to worry about it. But just wanted to make you aware. And that is content. But it's definitely marketed as a influencer or content creator camera. Obviously, under the hood is so much more. So let's talk about the pros and cons and experience using this thing. The first pro is it's truly tiny. It's not gonna fit in your pocket unless you have an actual pancake lens. You could probably squeeze her in there if you got some Jargo cargos on. But it is very tiny, which makes carrying it around an absolute breeze. And I'm beating a dead horse here for sure, but that's why I keep singing the praises of APS-C and Super 35 sensor cameras. Because they're smaller than full frame, they come in tinier bodies usually, and then the lenses are way smaller than full frame lenses as well, which is so convenient when you're traveling overseas, doing anything mobile where you don't want a big camera package. And we could get into the depth of field conversation all day. We'll talk about full frame in a little bit, but it's just not as big of a deal as people make it. For lenses, I took only one lens per camera on this trip, and for this camera, I brought the Sigma 18-50 f2.8, and it's just such a versatile lens, an incredible range. A lot of people lately in the camera space have been calling this lens the goat sausage. I don't know what that means, but it's very good. And I think I was actually the only person to call it that, so I would like to apologize for that. But this lens can do anything from vlogging decently wide to pretty nicely punched in images, which is cool. And if you want even extra reach, you can use that 4K 120 mode that's cropped in and get an even more zoomed in look. And the footage from this camera is fantastic for the price. And actually right now, as of recording, this camera is on a $200 discount on B&H. I have no affiliation with them. Go buy it from Robert's Camera. I prefer them anyway. S-Log3 is just a fantastic color space. And when you transform that in DaVinci Resolve to DaVinci Wide Gamut, you get even more flexibility with exposure, pushing and pulling colors. It's a fantastic image to work with. Now, I do want to mention briefly here the full frame versus APS-C thing, because the other camera I brought with me was the R6 III. And I don't know if it's that particular Canon sensor or if it's actually the full frame versus APS-C, but there is something incredible about the R6 III footage I got. And I was using a 24-70 2.8, so very similar focal lengths from each camera, and there's something saucy about that Canon. I don't know if it's full frame or not, and maybe because I'm the one who knows what I shot everything with, I can see the differences, or it's like a placebo thing. So let me know what you guys think of these shots here. They're not direct comparisons, but yeah, I'm just curious if you guys think anything particular. Be nice to each other in the comments. It's just kind of fun to talk about this stuff. Babe, do you want to say hi to all my subscribers?
No.
Few more pros here, but one is the intelligent hot shoe is awesome. I'm loving that they're putting this on all of their Sony cameras lately. It just makes it so nice if you have a Sony mic. Just putting it on the hot shoe, setting the levels to auto. It's an underrated feature. Just being able to throw that into auto and trusting that it's gonna do a good job is so nice. This camera also has really good battery life and great autofocus. I love auto subject detect, especially in shoots like this when I'm filming vehicles, people, animals. Not having to worry about diving into the menus to change what I need to focus on is critical. So love that that's in this camera as well. Now the last pro, and this is easily the biggest one, is when I crashed my drone into the sailboat that we were filming on, it didn't go into the ocean.
Oh my gosh. Wrong way. All right, that didn't work.
If I would have lost that drone, I could have got a new one, or I could have gotten mine repaired, because I have PPA, my #1 subscription and recommendation to photo video creators. First of all, you get up to $15,000 of gear, equipment, insurance, but there's so much more to PPA, like the fact that there's data loss protection. If you've ever formatted an SD card when you shouldn't have, or had hard drives fail like I've had, they can step in and assist you with these problems, help you deal with clients in real time. Their customer service is incredible. They can also help with unsatisfied customers or help you with good things like building your business. There's practices, resources, templates to make contracts and rate cards. And also they have Photo Vision, which is an entire educational platform all within the PPA website that can just transform the game for you in terms of photography. And I also have been trying to let people know that this is not just great for photographers, even though it's called Professional Photographers of America, it's also great for filmmakers because it teaches you about business practices in general. And also you get that incredible insurance perk, which can also be your collateral for renting gear from rental houses and stuff. Cancel a couple subscriptions you don't use and sign up for PPA using my link. You'll get a discount when you sign up. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you to PPA for the sponsor. Now let's talk about the cons of this cute little Sony cam. The first one is that there's no IBIS, and I actually got this wrong in my recent video about starting a video production company for less than $3,000. I mentioned this camera in it. This camera actually inspired that whole video because I was just blown away with how much you can get out of it for the price. In that video, I said it had IBIS, but it doesn't. It actually has digital stabilization, and it does a fine job, but when you crank it into the higher strength digital, you get a little bit of a crop. And if you move the camera in that mode, it introduces these gross digital jitters. New band name, I call it. We are the digital jitters. Let's rock! Also, I wish it had a little rangefinder style EVF on this camera, but I also understand that that's how they keep prices on this kind of a camera lower. You have no EVF, no IBIS system, and it also keeps the camera more compact by taking out those features, so it just depends on what you enjoy, and I can totally make that compromise for having such a cool little pocket cinema camera. But I will say, having the EVF on the R6 III was so important for when we were filming on the boat for this mini doc. The boat was white, so it was reflecting light back into my face, and I could actually just zone out and put my eye up on the Canon camera and get great exposures and check focus. I could not do that with the Sony. My brother-in-law, aka Uncle Joe, was operating the Sony on this boat shoot, and he had to have like his hood on and sunglasses on just to try to get a decent image out of this thing. All the footage turned out fine because the autofocus is great anyway, and Joe did a really good job, but it would be nice to have a little EVF. But for video, it's not a deal breaker. For photo, I think it'd be pretty annoying. I think overall this camera is just phenomenal. It really does feel like Sony made this secret pocket cinema camera that people don't really talk about very often, at least in terms of actual filmmaking. It just gets me excited that the barrier of entry into professional video is so much lower now, and people can actually like chase this dream without having to invest a lot of money up front. When I first started, I had a T5i that shot really crappy HD video and a 2012 MacBook, which I think got emphysema or just had a really bad cough anytime I tried to edit. It was rough. So really, the only excuse now is you. Like, do you want to put in the work? Do you want to be creative? Do you want to come up with ideas and pitch yourself? Because the gear is accessible to pretty much everyone now, which is just cool. So if you want to learn how to make a video production company starting right now, check out this video over here. Other than that, thanks for watching. Text me when you get home so I know you're safe, and watch out for deer. Remember that you guys are loved much more than you might even know, and I pray that God would bless you and your families. Shout out to my patrons and members for the continued support over there, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.